This video is going to be a really exciting one because March is when the surf starts warming up and fishing starts picking up for Northeast Florida. March is also when I have caught some of my PB fish. We're going to be talking about that in this video, giving you lots of tips and techniques for how to catch fish on the beach in March. This is also when casting lures in the surf can get really fun, so stay tuned. Speaking of lures, I'm going to be giving you some tips and techniques for casting lures in the surf, and I'm going to be showing you some different reeling techniques for different species of fish. We're also going to talk about how to be ready for schools of pompano as our water starts warming up enough for the pompano to return to Northeast Florida. We're going to cover all of that and more beach fishing strategies for March in this video. I've compiled years of beach fishing knowledge, pictures and video footage from previous marches, and put them all into this video to help you know what to catch, what fish to target, what bait and what rigs to use. We're going to be talking about weather and water temperatures and all of those things. And this information can be used for any beach as long as you know the water temperature and what fish you're going to be targeting in that water temperature. And if you're new to my channel, I'm putting out a video like this every month of the year to help you catch more fish from the beach. So you're going to want to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of them. I'm a beach fishing guide and we're booking right now for the spring and summer. So if you're interested in getting your family out on the beach and getting them more involved in fishing, we can accommodate groups up to 12 people. And you know what? It's a great alternative to being on a boat because if you've got someone who gets seasick, you don't have to worry about that on the beach. And if you've got a large family and you can't all fit on one boat, well, you all can fit on the beach. So visit fishin-girl.com and let's get you guys fishing. Now let's talk about what fish we're going to be targeting in March. So in March, you're going to be looking for bigger whiting, still got bluefish in the surf. We're going to see pompano returning, and also we could see some Spanish mackerel. Take a look at these pictures that I'm overlaying. You can see right in the Spanish mackerel's mouth, they have a bunch of glass minnows. Now I caught a bunch of Spanish mackerel throwing lures in the surf. This is why I want to tell you about throwing lures and different casting techniques, because I want you to be ready for when these Spanish mackerel come through. But they're going to be coming chasing the bait fish, and they get really aggressive, and it can be really, really fun. In March also was when I caught PB whiting. These whitings were topping 17 inches long, as you can see from these pictures. They're almost the full size of the top of my cooler. So these whiting have been getting bigger and bigger, like we've been talking about in previous months. And they start topping off at about 18 or 19. I think I've even heard 20 inches once for a whiting, but that's super rare. So 17, if you're catching 17-inch whiting, those are going to be some stud whiting that you're catching. And even Fishing Girl caught her PB whiting in March. Check out this picture. Yeah, we'd like to have a lot of fun here at Fishing Girl, but March is what I'm super excited about. In March is when the pompano are returning to the surf. Water is warming up again. And once it hits that 66-degree mark, and if you've got clean water, you can expect to see some pompano starting to return. You want to get everything ready and know where to be casting to be ready for those schools of pompano. And in March, we still have plenty of bluefish in the surf, so you definitely want to be ready for them. Here's a bunch of pictures of different bluefish that we were catching. And along with those fish that I mentioned, in previous years, we were catching sharks and sea trout, spot fish, and other bait fish, and of course some saltwater catfish here and there. Next, let's talk about what bait we're going to be using for March beach fishing. Pretty much any month of the year, it's a given that you're going to be trying to use shrimp and sand fleas. And I usually tip my shrimp and sand fleas with a small piece of fish gum or fish bites. Depending on what the fish are wanting that day, that's the flavor that you're going to use. So you may go through trying like several different types, several different flavors, several different colors to find what the fish are wanting to eat. But you're going to want to have a lot of variety during this time to make sure that you can really hit on what the fish want. The sand fleas should be getting easier to find now that the beach is warming up. And you can still use those winter techniques that I taught you about in past videos. If you're still not seeing the colonies yet, you still can find them a few at a time. Now, because the pompano have smaller mouths, I like to use the medium-sized sand fleas. You can rig them through the tail or I've seen some people pull the tail off and then rig them through the head side too. So you can try it either way, see which way works best for you. Last month I showed you how I like to rig my shrimp and my sand fleas, so you can go back to February's video and take a look at that section. I'll typically have at least one line thrown out for bluefish when I know the bluefish are running, and I'm going to be putting chunks of cut bait on there, either cut mullet or cut fish. And the type of lures that I like to use in the surf are typically going to be some type of spoon. I'm overlaying some video here of me throwing and casting some lures, and notice the type of lure that I'm using. It's very shiny, it's nice and silver. It's about a 3/4 ounce weight, so that it's going to be able to get the distance out to the sandbar when you're casting it. And make sure you keep watching to the end to see the reeling techniques that I use, because honestly, that could mean the difference of you catching a fish or not, is the way that you're reeling it. And if you're finding this information helpful, go ahead and push a like and push a subscribe, because along with these monthly videos, I put videos out throughout the month and throughout the year to help you catch more fish on the beach. Next, let's talk about what rigs we're going to be using for March beach fishing. So when the pompano are around, you're always going to have some type of double drop rig, some type of pompano rig or float rig or something like that. You can check out our rigs that I make in our store. I use the float rigs, and what I did is I put the floats on the hooks, because when you look at underwater footage, the pompano especially go after the floats before they go after the bait. So we said we got to get the floats on the hooks, so we've got them on the hooks. Have a lot of people that buy them from us, and they have a lot of success catching pompano and catching whiting and other fish from the beach with them. So go check those out on our store. I've got a link in the description. But you're always going to want to have some type of double drop rig, and the colors that you're going to use are going to be based on the water clarity. Now, I did a whole section about this in February's video, or February, January, talked about float colors and what float colors to use for different water clarity situations. So you can go back and watch that and get that pro tip there. Another good rig to use right now, because we still have those bluefish in the surf, is a mortician rig. So you're going to want to have that mortician rig. I have another video that takes you step by step through and how to make a mortician rig from start to finish. That video is also going to be linked in the description. But what's the big thing about the mortician rig is that it's got a stronger main line, and then the drops are a lower weight line, so that if the bluefish tends to, like if it's a bigger one and it bites off your hook, bites off your line, you're not going to lose your whole entire line, you're just going to lose that one hook. If you're just using a regular like pompano rig or double drop rig, if you don't have anything else out there targeting the bluefish, like with cut mullet or something on it, they're going to go after your shrimp, they're going to go after your sand fleas. I mean, they still might, but the better chances, if you've got mullet out there on a mortician rig, they're going to be going after that, and they probably aren't going to break that whole line off. So check out that video, learn how to make them yourself. It's really not that hard once you get the hang of it. Keep in mind, there's still sharks in the surf, so if you're getting bit off a lot, you might want to even have an even heavier rig, and I would highly suggest you check out Redfin Fishing. He makes some really high quality shark fishing rigs. So I've got his website linked in the description. You can go check out his shark fishing rigs. We use his sinkers too. So they are really good high quality stuff. So you want to check that out. Now we're going to talk about weather and water temperatures for March beach fishing and how that's going to impact you as you're fishing on the beach. So as I'm recording this right now, it's about the 26th of February, and the water temperature has been fluctuating a little bit lately. It was about 64 degrees just a few days ago. It's 62 degrees today in Flagler Beach area. So all up and down the coast shouldn't be too far off from 62, 64 degrees. Throughout the month, it should be warming up to where by the end of March, probably up into the high 60s, and that's why we're going to start seeing those pompanos start coming back through the area as the water gets warmer and it's more comfortable for them. We might still have a cold snap or two, but I guarantee it's not going to be nearly as bad as it was back in January and December, and this has been a crazy winter, guys. It's been a crazy fall. We've had hurricanes, we've had storms, we've had seaweed, we've had all kind of bad stuff. And I know I've talked to a lot of different people, and they're like, this has been a crazy several months, and it's been hard, literally, up and down on Northeast Florida. It's been hard fishing lately. So I'm right with all of you saying, let's get this water warmed up. Let's get it back to, comfortable temperatures, better fishing. But as for the weather, it might still be a little chilly in the mornings when you're coming out early. Especially if you're getting out there before the sun comes up. So you're going to want to have layers on. Bring a lot of fluids too, because it can be easy when you get busy fishing. I know I have to remind myself to go take a drink of water, stay hydrated, because I know we get all excited about fishing and reeling in fish and rebaiting and trying to make sure we're ready for the schools of fish coming through. And sometimes it's literally hard to remember to drink water and drink fluids. So I like to use the electrolyte packets. It'll keep you hydrated quicker and longer, and better chance of you not dehydrating when you're out on the beach, especially if you're going to be out there all day long. So before we get to our pro tips, let me tell you about Fishin' Girl Nation. So Fishin' Girl Nation is an elite women's fishing club. We have over 5,000 ladies now on Facebook in our women's fishing club. But what we're doing now is launching Fishin' Girl Nation, because we're taking it off of social media. We're going to be doing tournaments. We're going to be doing all kind of really cool, fun events. So ladies, if you're a woman and you love to fish, go check out fishandgirlnation.com. We would love for you to join us. Go check it out. You can pay annually or monthly, and this gives you all kind of perks. We've got discounts from all kind of retailers, and we'll be doing all kind of really fun things. So go check out fishandgirlnation.com, and I can't wait to see you in there.
We're down at the beach. I'm going to be showing you this pro tip of how to throw lures in the surf. I got my casting rod. I've got the Ninja Tackle Ninja Dagger. Love, love, love this rod. It's 8-foot, 6-inch casting rod. PC Fun reel. It's a 4,000 reel, I believe. And this has been an awesome reel paired up with this rod, and they're both green. So look at the colors, they match perfectly. It looks like they're made for each other. And then the lure I'm using, and I've got several of these. I actually bought them off of Amazon. They come in all different colors, but this is a 3/4 ounce casting lure. It's just got one treble hook on the bottom, and this has some nice blue color, blue shimmery. They come in red and blue, green. So this is just a straight, fast retrieve is what you're going to want to use for Spanish mackerel. For bluefish, you can go a little bit slower, but for Spanish, they really like to chase their bait. So we got a bird circling. Check out these pelicans. I love watching them fly like that. I'm gonna let that sink for just a second before I start reeling. And then I'm gonna just start reeling kind of fast and straight. I'm gonna slow it down just a little bit though, because the water is cold. So with the colder water, fish might be going a little bit slower in general. I'm gonna keep my rod tip low because I don't want the lure skimming the top of the water. So that's the straight, fast retrieve. The next retrieve I'm gonna show you is kind of like a jerk pause. Now there is bait jumping. So we're gonna let that fall to the bottom. And then I'm gonna jerk and reel as I'm letting the tip down. So there's like bait jumping all over right here. So you jerk, and then reel it while it's coming down. Jerk, reel it while you're letting it down. So the bait is coming up, and then it will drop. Up, and then it drops. And then a lot of times the fish is gonna bite it on the drop. We're also gonna, you can jig for flounder like this. So there might be flounder when it gets a little bit warmer, I think. About April-ish in Northeast Florida, whatever the water temperature is there, we seem to get flounder in this trough here. If you're wanting to jig kind of in the trough here, that's where the flounder are gonna be hanging out. Because like this high impact beach, there's usually a little lip that comes down. at high tide, or well, even at low tide, but we're at high tide right now. But whatever the structure is, if there's like a little lip that jumps down, you can be guaranteed that when that fills up, in the flounder, it's in season. Whew, if it's in season for flounder, they will probably be hanging out near that lip. Oh, here's another retrieve. I'm going to bend the camera down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing, but it's kind of like a straight retrieve. Sorry for the waves, I know they get loud, but it's kind of like a straight retrieve, but what I'm doing is kind of working it. I'm pulling it back as I'm retrieving. Kind of working it. This seems to work good for Spanish. It also seems to work good for sea trout, especially sea trout inshore. I've caught them this way. It's kind of just puts some action on that lure. Okay, so I'm working that lure like I was talking about. Just kind of pulling and reeling, pulling and reeling, pulling and reeling, keeping your rod tip down. You're pulling and reeling, pulling and reeling. Yeah, there's bait fish running.
For our second pro tip today, we are talking about the schools of fish and how you're going to be ready for them coming through. How often should you be checking your lines? What should you be doing while you're on the beach to make sure that you're not missing out on opportunities to catch fish? I know it's easy when you're out on the beach all day long, when you've been out there for a while, and maybe the bite dies down. So the tendency is to honestly sit down and relax and just kick back because, oh, the bite's kind of slowed down. We're just gonna enjoy our time here on the beach. But honestly, about every 20 minutes or so, you should be checking your lines. Now, if you have, like, I usually have 4 lines out, so that gets a little hard to check all of them every 20 minutes. If you notice that the bite has shut down and you're watching the tides and you're looking and going, okay, maybe, it seems like maybe, we got maybe an hour or half an hour before things should start picking up again. Don't just sit back and relax the whole time. You want to start bringing in your lines and rebaiting, casting them out, testing different distances and stuff. These schools of fish, pompano especially, they swim in schools. So what happens is they're coming through in a big school. They're not loners. You'll start seeing other people down the beach. If there's a lot of people fishing, I'm always watching what they're catching, because if they start catching this way and it keeps getting closer to you and people are catching fish, there's a big school, something coming through, whether it's whiting, whether it's bluefish, whether it's pompano. But yeah, the pompano especially, what they'll do is they'll swim in a big group. They'll come through the area, and if there's not structure that is going to cause them to turn around, they might be gone. They may never come back through while you're there on the beach that day. I like to sometimes set up near like structure, like an inlet, like a pier, a jetty, a rock wall, or something that is like causes those fish, maybe when they get to that area, sometimes they won't go out and around. Sometimes they'll turn around and come back. So that gives you more than one opportunity to get on the school of fish. About every 20 minutes, you're going to want to be checking your lines. You want to rebait, keep it fresh, because you want to be ready when that school comes through. You don't want to have lines out there that don't have any bait left on it, and everybody else is catching fish, but you're not, because you're not ready for it. So that's our pro tip number 2. Be ready for those schools of fish coming through. So to wrap things up, March can be a super fun time to fish on the beach. It can be really, really fun, especially as this water warms up and all of these schools of fish come through. But we are booking right now for spring and summer for charters. So go to our website, fishin-girl.com, fill out our booking form, and let's get you out on the beach catching fish. Again, if you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't miss any of these monthly beach fishing tip videos that I'm putting out this year. But thank you so much for watching. Tight lines, and God bless.